Welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable. Measuring data has never been more important. Fixed operations is on top of mind. With us today are Pete Carusone. He's the president and CEO of VisionAST, and we're joined today by Ed Roberts, the COO at Bozard Ford Lincoln. Pete and Ed, welcome back to the Fixed Ops Roundtable.
Thank you, Ted. Glad to be here.
Yes, thank you.
Pete, a lot happening in your world right now. Your world has become our world. We're measuring a lot of things in fixed operations. Pete, first, I want to come to you and then over to Ed. Pete, what are you seeing happening right now in terms of performance metrics and what dealers are doing and should be doing as we prepare now for the new year?
Paying a lot more attention with greater frequency. A lot of historically dealers and departments look at numbers monthly. They look in the rearview mirror at what happened and what we could have done, what we should have done. I'm seeing a real shift to more real time metrics and where are we pacing? What do we need to change today, midstream, to make a month out of this or a quarter out of what we're doing here? Not looking back at what should have been, but what is going to be, because we're going to make some changes right here and right now to improve what we're doing.
Ed, does that sound something like you might be doing at Bozard as well?
Well, you get out of things what you put into it, and then when you don't have a plan, then you don't necessarily you just get what you get, so you got to plan things out. And right now, here we are, the towards the end of November, and everybody's making plans for next year. Why don't we make plans for tomorrow? Why
Right.
wait and start January 1? Let's get it rolling because it's not going to start out the way you want it to January 1. So if it is your plan now, just get rolling with it and start working out the kinks between now and then. So we never have to wait. We do find points to where, okay, now let's plan for next year. Let's plan for, well, why can't we shorten that window and plan for tomorrow? And if we have the data to do that, it makes it much easier to do.
Ed, I know you've been working with the tools that Vision AST has for some time now, and there are certain metrics that you follow. But one of the things I like about what your approach is, Ed, is that there may be a whole lot of data to follow, but you're really focused on really certain things. I don't know if you want to speak to that, but those indicators are important.
So I'll challenge the audience with that because a lot of times we got our manufacturers, we got our owners, we got our department heads, and everybody looks at something different. Well, it all gets compiled to where we all look at all those things, and then it becomes analysis paralysis. And by the time you look at all those things and you try to come up with something to do something with, the day is gone and you haven't made any progress. Narrow those things down to 3 to 5 areas where if you focus on these things, it pulls the other things into a line. And when you do that, now you can really be specific in what you're chasing down and really pinpoint some progress or target some progress that you want to make. And the rest of the stuff just miraculously comes in line. You don't have to work on everything. You got to work on the overall picture. So pick 3 to 5. I have 3 to 5, and they don't have to be the same. Pick 3 to 5 that you think you can make an impact on, and then go make the impact. That's the issue. That's the ticket right there. Is the doing rather than the planning. Go make the impact rather than okay, we got to get better here. What's our plan?
Pete, your thoughts and how do you custom tailor this?
That's exactly right. We have so many metrics that we measure, and so many things are available, but you have to start with a few. We do a lot of product demonstrations where the prospect wants to see all these different features and benefits. And as soon as you say, okay, well, what are you measuring right now? And the answer is nothing. Well, let's just start with a few. We can worry about all those other nice to haves, but let's focus on the few that are important. And we built our dashboards to be able to drag in certain things that are most important that you want to focus on, and to be able to custom set some goals and objectives and benchmarks, we call them, to try to move the needle. Focus on a few things, like Ed said, and get really good at those. And then we'll move on to the next metrics that are available, and train around a few key things that everyone's rowing in the same direction on, and they'll move those other metrics, and those can be good lagging indicators of your effort. But get everyone rowing in the same direction on just a few that everyone can relate to, everyone can see their impact on, so they get some reward from their efforts and really have an impact on the entire department.
Ed, I'm curious, what operational problems tend to service the most when dealerships are not focused on these metrics, not making them, for example, visual, and not talking about it with their team every day?
Well, and we all get caught up in this, and if we don't have information that, like, I mean, I love what Pete does because he pulls all this stuff in, all this data, this analysis paralysis, and puts it into things, into a view, a dashboard that you can see the things you want to see. And what typically happens is we 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 we, we say, okay, we're not doing good here, we're not doing good there, we're not doing, and we take emotion and make a decision because we don't necessarily know, or maybe there's something lagging, something hasn't posted, something hasn't went here, and at the moment we're not doing good there. Well, we don't know what the pipeline shows. So we're not using data to help drive those decisions. And if we're not using data to drive decisions or to at least lay the foundation for driving those decisions, then we're using emotion. And think about that for a moment. When we make emotional decisions, it's not necessarily the best decision because it's the feeling that we're having at that moment. Well, it's just like the weather. The weather can change in a moment. Well, so can our feelings as we get more of the data and things start to align. So I want to challenge the audience that if you're not looking at data, you have to do it. You can keep emotion in there. You can keep feelings in there. I want you to minimize that as much as possible, but you got to have a pathway to signify or to change that thought or that emotion that you're having, and that comes from having clean data that is live and being able to see the pipeline of where it's coming from.
Yeah, and so much of what makes me think of consultants or trainers that you bring in from the outside, and why they make such an immediate impact is often because they're just looking at the numbers. They don't have any emotional attachment to anyone in the facility or in the business operation. They're just looking at a moment in time, and they look at the metrics, and they look at the department, and they know where the issues are, and they don't have opinions on, well, that tech does this, or this advisor, she's the problem because she's always discounting. They don't know any of that. They're just looking at reality in that moment in time. And that's why they have such an immediate impact, because they're not being uh, influenced by any mis or disinformation based on emotional attachments of having worked with people that you really might care about deeply for such a long time. You have all these preconceived notions of what will work and what won't work, and here's why. And you're just looking at the facts and what a difference that can make.
So that's a great point, Pete, and because a lot of times we think we bring it, we don't need to bring consultant in, we know what's going on. Well, then we bring a consultant in, and there is an impact, and that's exactly where it comes from. Is they're not emotionally tied to it, so they don't discount it in their mind that, okay, well, that happened because of this, and that's what we do a lot when we tie the emotion to it. We justify that behavior, we justify that result, or we justify those things. And truly, if we quit justifying and focus on them, then we make progress. So when we justify, you're just really blaming that result on something else. And if we quit blaming and focus on it, then we can make the progress. But that was a great point of, hey, this is a view with taking the emotion out and looking at it by just the data. That's exactly what it is. That's all we have to go by as consultants when we come in, is the data that's provided to us. And the data that's provided to us is the data that's there. And then we can say, okay, well, that makes sense because I see this and I see that, and it all lines up. And when we're in the trenches, we start justifying in our minds, and justifying becomes a different version of blaming. We're saying it's okay for it to be that way because of this. And if it was okay, you probably wouldn't be looking at a consultant to begin with.
Bingo.
Ed, Pete's got a great looking dashboard, easy to understand, which I think is important, especially when it comes to fixed operations. How do you use some of these things as training tools and use them as tools to help improve your people? Because I think at the end of the day, that's really what we want to do, is get better at what we do.
Well, all of us have been in the car business for quite some time, and There's other industries that pulls these in as well, but let's just look at it from our industry. People in our industry that's been in it for any period of time or that's committed to it for any period of time are very competitive people. And so when you're competitive, you that means you want to be better than somebody else. You want to be better than how they do it, whoever they do it. And that's where data comes into play with Pete is now I can show, hey, this guy can do this, this, and this. How do we get you there? And then the mindset doesn't change to, okay, well, I get there. No, the mindset is I can beat that person. And but not having that data, you can never create that competitive atmosphere. But having the data and layering it over top of it, then you can create a competitive atmosphere. And not only does performance go up, but everybody has a lot more fun.
Mm. Yeah, keeping score is so important. It is competitive, and we're not in denial of the fact that it's a competitive business. And a lot of the players within the dealership, both in fixed and variable operations, are competitive. So let's keep score. And that's a positive thing. That is not a negative, let's keep score. It's let's show everyone where they are. Let's show everyone how they're performing in relation to their peers. And that drives a tremendous amount of performance. You may, as a service director, say, geez, I don't have time for training right now. It's the last thing I have time for. That's okay. Let's just keep score in real time and let everyone know how they're stacking up. And that'll drive a number that is sometimes beyond what any training can do. Just putting the numbers in front of everyone, making it simple to digest. And the numbers should be numbers that they can move. And they are. They're all numbers that can be easily affected by someone's effort. And that act of putting it in front of everyone, and I say everyone, so everyone knows where they stand against their peers. That moves the needle often more than training alone can do.
Ed, you've got some unique things at Bozard, and I mentioned earlier, um, Pete and his group have been working with you. You've been working with them. What about things like mobile service? What have you found there in terms of metrics? I know Jeremy's been doing a lot of work on that as well, but it seems that that's a whole new element, and certainly you're doing it on a, a grand scale there at Bozard.
Well, I'm hearing a lot of noise about this mobile service. You think there's something? You think there's something to it? You think I should get into the mobile service business?
Maybe, maybe.
No, with that, the one of the things that everyone asks is it profitable? Is it this? Is it that? And it's data. It goes back to data. We need to know what our break even is, not for mobile service, but for each van. And we know what break even is for each van. Now we can measure that. And so it still goes back to data, have the information, because it's a much different conversation when someone's outrunning break even versus the ones that are not outrunning break even. I have both sides of it. Some of them outrun it hugely, some of them not so much, and some of them doesn't break even yet. And so which one's going to get the most of my time? The ones that's not getting there yet, because that's the ones I got the biggest opportunity with. The ones that are getting there, we say, hey, it's possible because they're doing it. And so it goes back to if you didn't have the data, now you're looking at it as a whole department and you're thinking, oh my goodness, is this really worth all the trouble that I'm putting in it? Well, when 80% of them are profitable and 20% of them are not, then let's look at it as the work mix. Do we have them driving too far? Is it what's the elements of that? Is it the personnel that we have on them? And we can really break it down or enhance that department rather than question that department.
Hmm.
Pete, what are you seeing on your side? Because I mean, this is a whole new, for the automotive retail industry, the last 5 to 10 years, it seems, especially the last 2 or 3 years, a lot of focus on finding new ways to become more efficient. And from the customer's viewpoint, make it more convenient for them as well. And obviously, we want to measure all those things internally as well.
Well, I talk about mobile service with other dealers quite often, and I reference Bozard and Ed and the job they're doing. And, I think the challenge is to find a starting point, a jumping off point for dealers to give it a try. It's so overwhelming and so outside of the norm of what people have spent their whole career doing that they just need some hand holding. Hey, start here. Here's how we started. It takes some guts and the payoff is obviously there, the reward is there, but I'm seeing an effort, and you speak of Jeremy. I know he's considering putting a 20 group together for mobile service, and I think it's a brilliant idea.
Yes.
Everyone's in their own silo, and having a, a peer group to talk to about what you've experienced, what's working, what's not working, and sharing that data so you can say, okay, that is a success. It may not be the same exact metrics you're seeing in the traditional service base, but what does it look like? Am I scratching the surface of something great? Am I even going in the right direction? And there's a desire for this mobile service to be incorporated as part of a larger service center. And dealers just need some guidance on where to get started, and metrics specific to that are certainly helpful.
Yeah,
Ed,
let's chat on that a bit because you're exactly right. Jeremy's putting that together and he's gotten it off the ground and we got some participants in it. Let's look at it from our standpoint. When someone, maybe it's one of our kids, they're involved in sports, they do something great, we want to go tell people. Well, that's no different in our professional life. We have this new thing that we're working on. Let's call it mobile service. And someone goes out and finds something that really, really works. Well, guess what they want to do? They want to tell people about it.
Yeah.
Well, if we can have 10, 15, 20 people that we meet twice a month or once a month, and they all have those success stories, then that gives the others ideas to go back with. So it isn't just like it's one success story. Everybody's bringing something. And so you can call it best idea, you can call it whatever, but people will brag about what's going well for them. They don't want to talk about the things that they're struggling with. So hopefully what's going well for one, maybe what someone else is struggling with, so you can help with that. But nobody likes to air out their dirty laundry. Well, if we can win with the success stories, we all still get better. And then the dirty laundry we still have to focus on. Then we have to get a little more vulnerable with that. And maybe that becomes one on ones and says, hey, Pete, I'm going to call you after the call here. I got something I want to talk to you about. And that's what those atmospheres do for you. And then everybody wins from it.
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
Ed, I'll reference again Vision AST. Finally, today, what are some of the things that you've recognized in having worked with Vision AST, using that dashboard, having your team look at it? I know you've been working and helping to develop Pete with this, but what are some of the things that have jumped out at you? Some of the aha moments, if you will, from some of the metrics that you're able to track using Pete's tool, Vision AST.
Well, we talked about earlier having all the different variables out there, all the different things that you go chase after, and let's narrow that down. Well, still, most of those things come in different places. So you spend time going and chasing it down and running reports. Well, Vision AST pulls all those things together, centralizes it, puts it in one spot to where you can go to one place and have all the information you need. Now you're not having to run all these separate reports and try to figure this out, and analyze that, and whatever else. It's there. It's already put together. So in the world we live in today, we're always looking for efficiencies. And we can
Efficiencies.
pull all that stuff back in one spot, have one dashboard that gives us the things that we want to look at because it's a personalized dashboard. And then we got one spot and we go there and we create the plan for today and not talk about what we want to do when the year gets here.
Hmm.
We got a plan for what we can go do now.
Yeah, and speaking of efficiencies, I was reading this earlier this morning. Service volume is up 15% this year, and hours sold is only up, I think, half of 1%. So there's opportunities for efficiency. It tells me there's a lot of work left to be done, certainly on my little part of it. And the volume is there, and it's going to be there. And we need to maximize. I think what I'm always preaching these days is maximizing every opportunity. We're fortunate that there are a lot of opportunities in service and parts. So it's time, if you're not already, to really work on maximizing every opportunity and not just survive the volume and survive the mad rush, but slow it down a little bit and measure what you're doing and ensure that you're maximizing those opportunities that come through your drive.
And let me touch on that for the audience real quick. Listen to what Pete said, that service volume was up 15% and hours is up less than 1%.
Mm.
And that's our fault as industry leaders out there because we know that when our workload increases, that our inspections decrease. And we're doing a lesser service for our customers when we don't inspect their vehicles correctly or fully because they are trusting in us to take care of their vehicle. And we still need to be doing those inspections for our customers to advise them of their needs and let them know the things they need to plan for. Never anything they don't need. Always what they need today and what they can plan for. And if we do that, then those hours will continue to grow with the rate of volume. We have to be ready for that volume, not just react to it. When we react to it, now we got to take things away to be able to meet it. And that's not beneficial for anybody, because at the end, it ensures to a customer that maybe that wasn't the best place for me because I just took it there last week and now my brakes are grinding because we didn't inspect the brakes.
Pete, for our audience that wants to take the next step and have a different look into their metrics, into the performance metrics, things that they track and should be aware of. Pete, how can our audience ask questions of you, take a look at the dashboard, and get more information?
Yeah, call me directly. You can. My number's on the bottom of the screen. So is my email address. We're easy to connect through a chat on our website if you're more comfortable. And just let us put it in front of you. Take a look. We do some really good product demos that we really let the prospect steer the discussion. We have no canned approach to anything. We find where the challenges are specific to that prospect, that dealer, and uh, tailor our presentation to where they perceive their challenges to be. And again, like I mentioned in mobile service, finding that jumping off point to get started. And that's why I talk so much about the leaderboard, because that's an easy place to start. Let's just get the numbers in front of everyone. Let them see how they can move the needle, them meaning your advisors, your technicians. Let them see how they impact the department as a whole. And that buy-in to impacting the overall success of the department can be led just by showing people how they're performing. And it also has really nice byproducts of showing that you care, that you're helping them improve their performance, and giving them a way to measure how successful they are, and a reason to give someone a pat on the back when they're doing a good job, and all those things that come with it when it's data driven. You can throw some emotion in there. We keep talking about taking the emotion out. Throw the emotion in based on the facts, right? And that's
Facts.
the right way to go about it, and that's the impactful way to go about it.
Yes.
All right, gentlemen, thank you for this discussion on performance metrics. Pete Carusone is the president and CEO of VisionAST, works with a lot of dealers across North America, has deep experience in the retail space, works with Ed at Bozard Ford Lincoln, and Pete's information is scrolling across the bottom. You can visit them at visionast.com. Pete's email and phone is there as well. Gentlemen, I want to thank you for all you do for fixed operations and elevating our game to find efficiencies. And of course, I want to wish you and your families a very happy Thanksgiving next week.
Happy
Thank you.
Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving as well.
All right, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Pete Carusone and Ed Roberts here with us today at the Fixed Ops Roundtable.